Hi, I'm Chef Raphael and welcome to today's video. Today we are baking and I'm going to show you how to make a delicious but simple to make. The ingredients are really simple. Fruit cake. It's actually what this is for me is a cake recipe that I have that I usually modify it in different ways. I've made a marble cake out of it, and today I'm going to show you how to make a fruit cake. It's a really nice and delicious cake, and it's made even extra special by using the all-new brand, the all-new BlueBand margarine. This is actually the baking version. The other margarine you can actually bake with it, the one before this, but this one is improved, it's enhanced, and it makes the results rich because it actually has a rich buttery taste. It makes it richer and tastier. You have to see the video to see how simple it is to make it, and get yours today and try it. Let's get started. So for the ingredients of this very simple recipe, actually this is my go-to recipe whenever I want to make a variation of either a fruit cake or a marble cake or a plain old vanilla cake. We have flour, which is 380 grams. We have 270 grams of sugar, 5 eggs, vanilla essence, and this is a mixture of sultanas and raisins. Basically, when it comes to a fruit cake, you can use whatever fruits you have available. You can use orange peel, you can use cherries. I'm going for the raisins, sultanas direction, and this is perfect for me for this cake. And also now we are using the all-new BlueBand baking margarine. Remember this one, what they have done, which is different from the normal BlueBand that you know, is that they have actually added more flavor, more buttery flavor that will actually make your cake have a nice buttery taste. And then the other thing about it is that, which is different from the other one usually has omega-3 and 6. This one doesn't have that. And basically the formulation has been made to enhance, to make the baking results much better. So let's get started. I will actually weigh first the margarine. It's a very good idea to always use a weighing scale, because with a weighing scale you actually get to know the exact amount. So that's 300 grams. So the first thing you need to do whenever you have this, because what this is actually the creaming method that we're using, it's a good idea to first beat the BlueBand a little bit to make it softer. Mind you can also do this using without the stand. You can use it by the hand, or you can also use a whisk. But when you have a stand mixer like this, first beat it a little bit and then add the sugar. I'm actually going to add it as I continue. And then it's a good idea whenever you're actually using a mixer like this, scrape off the sides. You scrape off the sides so that it actually comes to the center and gets mixed through completely. So the next thing we're going to add for this is the eggs. Now for the eggs, we're doing it one at a time. First add the first one and then mix. One thing I forgot to mention, it's always a good idea, especially if you're not sure about your eggs, crack them in a separate bowl like that, and then add. Yes. That avoids any eventuality of an egg that's being bad, that adding it directly to the mixture. So you continue. Scrape off the sides so that it gets mixed into the mixture, and then the final egg, and scrape off the sides. So one thing I should note is that the mixture is fully mixed. If it curdles, it's fine. You may not be using BlueBand margarine, and sometimes what will happen is that if you're using some other type of margarine, sometimes it can tend to curdle. Don't worry, it's fine. You can just, when you add the flour, it will all come together. So that is done. I'll add the vanilla essence. This is 1 teaspoon. Another tip I can give you is that to avoid the flour from jumping all over the surface or even the machine, you can actually add first a little bit like that, save the rest, and then using a spatula, and then gently mix. And this basically what you're trying to do is incorporate the flour into the mixture like that. And then when you're going to whisk it, the flour will actually not be flying all over the surface. So when it's mixed up to that point, now at this point you can continue using the machine. The cake batter is actually thick, so when you actually stop mixing when all the flour has already been incorporated. Now one thing about cake recipes, one thing I always say is that follow a recipe that has been as it's been directed, and then our cake mixture is ready. Now what is left is to add the fruits. I'm using raisins and sultanas. You can use cherries, you can use mixed orange peels, or to be honest, you can actually use the same recipe and skip the fruits. What I have here is around 24-inch pan. I've put a grease-proof paper on the bottom. It's actually very important to avoid the sticking, but you can also grease your pan, baking tin, and then apply a thin layer of flour. That can also work. And the reason why doing this recipe as a fruit cake works is because it's actually a thick mixture. The fruits will not sink on the bottom of the cake. So I've already turned on my oven at and set it at 180 degrees. You need to preheat your oven. Preheating an oven takes about 7 minutes, 8 minutes, depend on your oven type. So now we'll set it into the oven. Again, it's preheated 180 degrees. And this mixture, now the cooking time or the baking time, it depends on the amount, at what level this cake is. Now this one I estimate it will take about 40 minutes, but if it's a thin, if you have a bigger pan, meaning the mixture will go a little bit down, it will take less time. So how you know actually the cake is baked in your kitchen, one tip I can give you is when you smell cake in the kitchen, that's when you know it's almost done or it's actually done. Another thing you should not do whenever you're baking is try and open the oven door. The reason why you have a light in most ovens is because you can actually see. So look at inside the glass door of the oven and just observe the way the cake is rising. But when you open it, what happens? It introduces cold air, and that's what makes the cake collapse at the center. So avoid that. So our cake is ready. It actually took slightly over an hour, and what you need to do, like I said, because it actually depends on the thickness of the cake, and what you actually need to do is to, if it's nicely brown on the top, you can actually reduce the amount of the heat in the oven to maybe 160, so that you also give it time to actually bake on the inside. If it's still high and you waiting for it to be cooked on the inside, but on the outside is cooked, on the outside it tends to form a thick crust and becomes hard. This is nicely browned, and then it's firm, especially when it's fully cooled, because actually it's fully cooled. And how you actually know a cake is cooked is take a small knife, dip it, and then when you remove it, it should actually come out clean. And as you can see for this cake, it hasn't risen and cracked. And I've had those questions whereby somebody is asking me, why does the cake crack? It actually depends with the cake recipe itself, and it's just one way of the cake to try to expand. So you see it's in a tin and then it's trying to come up, and usually cracking is not a bad thing basically, because what you can do, especially if you want to make it into a layered cake, is just trim off the top and you have a flat cake. Cracking is not a bad thing per se, but for this particular recipe, for this cake, it usually does not crack, and this is exactly how you should see it when you bake yours. Now let's dig in. soft. The inside it's crumbly. It has nice even layer on the edges, and my mouth is watering. So let me just put this on the side and then see on the inside. If you decide to make it into a chocolate cake and basically add more cocoa to it, it will be okay. If you decide to have it as a vanilla cake, it will still be okay. For me, this is a multi-purpose cake which I've really enjoyed since the first time I actually discovered it, and I hope you've learned something new, and it's something that you can actually try out today or soon. Let me know how yours turns out. Remember, you have been using the all new baking margarine from BlueBand. The yield is actually really good. Wow. Yeah, and also that I had not done that. Actually, I had not smelled it. It's actually nice vanilla flavor, and all this is because it has the new and improved flavoring, which makes it awesome. So until next time, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button so you're notified whenever I have a new recipe out. Until next time, goodbye.